Live. We are calling the meeting to order. All right. We're going to call the regularly scheduled business meeting of the Goseal Township Board of Trustees to order. November 25th. It is 7:38 p.m. The board just finished up a study session, and we're making some progress. So, call the meeting to order. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, once again, those of you watching at home, nice and warm, welcome to our board meeting. The entire Board of Trustees is present. We can conduct business. I'll begin with additions, deletions to the agenda. And I would like to begin with a motion to add as action item number 3, adoption of the court management 33rd District Court budget for the 2014 fiscal year. Support. Seconded by Treasurer Van Oss. Those in favor of adding the court budget to the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That motion carries. Mr. Posiask.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to add as action item number 4, purchase and installation of the drinking fountain.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Posiask, supported by Trustee Smith, to add the drinking fountain on the bike path, in the bike path area. Discussion among the board? None offered. Those in favor of adding as action item number 4, Mr. Posiak's motion regarding the drinking fountain, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will be added as action item 4. Are there any other additions, deletions to the agenda? Mr. Budney.
Mr. Supervisor, I would like to delete from the consent agenda minutes for October 28th, 2013 regular meeting. There is an inaccuracy in it that needs to be taken care of, which we are going to take care of tomorrow.
You want the, okay, well, that's your motion.
Yes, so my motion is to delete the minutes from approval at this time.
Which ones?
The October 28th.
Support.
Okay, your motion is not to add that there's a discussion of just remove it.
Just to remove it at this time and bring it back at the next meeting.
Motion is to remove, supported by Trustee Smith. Any discussion among the board? With none offered, those in favor of supporting Mr. Budney's motion to remove the meetings from the minutes of the October 28th meeting, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None offered. Those will be removed from the consent agenda.
I just noticed, Ann, did you want action item number 2 removed?
Yes.
The MERS. Levis.
Further negotiation.
I'll make that motion that we remove action item number 2.
Okay.
As requested by Ann Dosnick, reason
We need further research.
for the research.
All right, moved by Treasurer Van Oss, supported by Supervisor Loftus to remove action item number 2, the MERS, what did you call it? MERS final average compensation exclusion. Discussion among the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of removing action item number 2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will be removed from the agenda. So we have action items 1, 3, and 4. That's how we're going to do. Okay. Any other additions, deletions to the agenda? None offered. Those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The agenda stands amended. In that case, we'll move to the consent agenda. I'm sorry. No, Bob. We will open to public comment. With no members of the public here, we will move on. Now, the consent agenda, Mr. Treasurer.
I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 13-137, which would include approve the minutes of the November 13th, 2013 special meeting, approval of check register, and approval of check register dated November 22nd, 2013.
Support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Budney on the consent agenda. Any discussion on the board?
Yes.
Mr. Budney.
Mr. Supervisor, I have a couple of questions that came up when I was reviewing that. Page 3-7 of the 11-8 check register. It was a Cygnus system. It's right at the bottom of the page, in fact, and it's Sportsman's Issue. What was that?
That's the program that they use for the golfies, for the pro shop.
Okay, very good. I also have a question, and actually it turns out to be two questions, but in the, get my registers right. In the November 8th register, there is a check for a consulting fee for assessing. Okay? It's a consulting fee. In the November 22nd check register, there are a number of checks paying the Consultants Association fees for the Wayne County Assessors Association, the State of Michigan, and another one. Why would we, my first question is, why are we paying a Consultants Association fees? I mean, do we pay the CPAs Association fees, the attorneys, the planners, the engineers? Why are we paying this Consultants Association fees?
We'll have to review the contract we have with the assessor, if that's a function of the contract.
Well, Mr., I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. Supervisor, because that's what I did. I wanted to do, and I found out we don't have any. There is nothing.
There's no contract with...
There's no contract. Not only isn't there a contract, it appears over the years with no contract and no discussion, to my knowledge, I know this past year there was no discussion of it, he got a raise. I'd like to know how that happens. If we have no agreement, he has, and I talked to the gentleman, there's been no discussion with him, it just happens. I'd like to know on what basis we're doing this, especially the fact that we don't have any written guidance, or he's not asking for any of this, evidently. Why are we doing it?
Who submitted the request for payment? Who submitted the request for payment? I don't know if we've processed these.
It's a contract not approving the budget.
Okay, and would you, just for the folks at home to follow what we're doing, okay, I'm going to make a motion here. I'm going to extend this. Since we've gone beyond the scope of what's on the consent agenda,
okay,
we'll move this to an action item for discussion.
Okay, then that's fine. And if we want to, it's just something I think needs to be, I need to understand it. I assume the board probably would like to understand it. If we do it tonight or we do it at the next meeting, that's fine.
Well, if both check registers are under scrutiny, we either approve them and discuss this later, get it sorted out.
Why don't we do that?
Okay, because we are going to pay the bills.
Yeah, and it's just how does this all come about if we don't have a contract and there's raises involved and association. I mean, if you're a consultant and we're paying your association fees, that's what first led me off on.
Well, who's the consultant? I'm a little bit confused.
Mr.
O'Donnell.
Oh, he's the assessor.
He's a consultant, according to this. He's just like our planner is a consultant, but he's our planner. Our attorney is our attorney. He's a consultant. The CPA is a consultant. They're all consultants doing those.
I'm not sure that statement is correct.
township assessor. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
He is
Because
an
we-
assessor, but he's not a township employee.
He's not
other
a
than by
township employee.
contractual agreement, and
Right.
apparently we can't find, he's been doing it forever.
But I think to call him a consultant is kind of a misnomer, because we need him as a assessor, because we don't have anybody on staff with the credentials to be an assessor.
Well, and actually, I guess that really, whatever we call him, we don't have anything to explain him, evidently.
Well, because that's my department, I will find out. Again, he's been doing it for over 20 years.
I think he's a-
remember when he wasn't our assessor.
I think the correct nomenclature is that he is a contract employee, but not a consultant.
And
I will have to determine the distinction between the two.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I think it, because he actually does the assessing with his credentials, so I think he would be a contract employee to the township, I'm sure. I don't think I would consider the other guy that comes in as a consultant.
Right, yes, and they use him on a, I mean, Tim,
Right.
on a regular basis,
Yeah, right.
every week.
But Tim is actually carries the credentials to be the assessor, and nobody else in the township does, if I'm
I
correct.
see your distinction. He is the township's assessor
Right,
by contract, so.
okay.
But we will get that sorted out.
That's
But
fine.
getting back to our
That's fine.
status on the consent agenda.
Yes.
With that behind us and those shortcomings identified, are we still approving the check registers? Yes.
yes.
Those in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. Moving on to the action items. Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Supervisor, I recommend that the Township Board approve the purchase of 4 prep radios through Downriver Mutual Aid, and I'll have Chief Porcerelli give a little more detail on it, but I'll read the detail that's provided here just for the...
Well, let's get a second for the motion.
Support.
Okay, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss.
So a little bit of the history is that the Downriver Police Consortium purchased new radio system, and the funds that were allotted were not enough to purchase all prep radios needed. We would like to use our COPS technology grant to purchase additional prep radios. The total amount of the preps is $16,101.40, minus the amount funded through the grant of $15,237, leaving a balance of $864 to be paid from our equipment budget line item 301-986000. So, Chief?
As Eric stated, the Downriver Police Consortium, the Downriver communities just went through the radio system. And this was something they've been working on for a few years. Our old radio system is somewhat obsolete. There was an allotment of prep radios and base radios and in-car radios for the number of individuals you have in your department. What they weren't going to pay for was for the reserves. And as you know, our reserves, they are a very important part of our police department. They're in a lot of tasks, or they do rather a lot of tasks that they definitely need a prep radio with the parades, with the games, with any of the functions. They have to have communications. So when we found this grant, this federal grant was through the DCC, funneled through the DCC to us, and there are no matching funds needed. There's no strings attached. All it is, of course, we just have to show them what we purchased with them, and we obviously okay it first through them by email. And the head of the grant area there said it was fine. This is absolutely, but we will be paying $864.40 out of my equipment fund for the balance of it, and it'll be for 4 prep radios.
Okay. Questions for the chief, Mr. Buddy?
Chief, thanks for being here tonight. Now, I noticed in reading over the agreement that the agreement was signed back in March. Is that, or do I have the wrong information?
Signed by whom? By the
Joe.
DCC or myself?
Both. According to the one I have, it was signed 3/6/2013.
This was the information given to me from the grant, and that was back in March, and it's taken this long until we got our radios. That's the reason. Radios just came in 2 weeks ago. So we did need more radios, and this is why this was given to us.
So it'll be under the same agreement?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's all the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
My next question. Is anybody besides you reviewed this agreement before you signed it?
The DCC, that's, I would assume.
Well, no, I mean, on our part.
Oh, no, this would just be ours then.
It'd just be you?
Yeah, it would just be myself.
Okay.
From the police department.
Okay. And do you have a copy of it?
Yes, what
Okay.
page are you looking at?
The first page. Can you tell me what item number 1 that we're agreeing to? Can you explain that? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. And all I want is a yes or a no. Can you explain number 1 to me? And all those CFR parts.
No, I can't explain all the
Okay.
CFR numbers to you that
Okay.
we agree to the requirements, the laws, and anything that has to do with the orders and regulations to this
So,
grant.
but you don't know what those are?
The CFRs?
Yes.
No, all the different CFR numbers
Okay.
out there? No, I won't
Okay.
know those out.
On the second,
Is that mine?
I don't know.
It might be your radio, Joe.
Yeah. On the second page, number 8. Again, it's a CFR part, but it's specifically pertaining to the development and implementation of an equal employment opportunity plan. Do we know what that is?
If you're asking me, do I know what 28 CFR Part 42 subpart
Yes.
is? No, that.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you real quickly, number 10, same question. And I'm going to, I think, I would think that you wouldn't if you hadn't known the
That
rights.
we know.
Okay, and here's my point. We're signing an agreement that is compelling the community, not the police department, but the community, the way this is written. We're responsible, the Township of Grosse Ile, and we don't know what we have to comply to. And I happened to spend Sunday reading all this and looking all this up, and we're okay. And I have no problem approving this. But for the township, we do way too much of this very thing. And I'm not picking on you, Joe. The whole township does this way too often. We sign and we don't even know what we're signing. And that's a very dangerous way to run a business. And we have to do better. You just don't sign a contract and not know what's in it. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. And I apologize, Joe, because I don't mean to put you on the spot. But this just kind of epitomized what I've been seeing over the last year, where we do things without knowing what we do. And this was a perfect example.
Do you want to jump in, or do you want me to?
Go ahead. I mean,
So Joe, your Chief Force Riley, can you just really briefly? So this is a project that's been going on for what 3 or 4 years now, selecting this new radio band. It's
This
a
new radio
new
system,
radio
yeah.
that is system throughout downriver.
Yes.
It's throughout the state of Michigan. We're now linked in with the MSP and everybody else, right? So this project's been going on for a very long time.
It's been years, yeah.
It's been linked through the DCC, which we do a tremendous amount of business with.
right?
Right.
And even my point is, even reading it, I mean, if you want the money, you're going to have to agree to these terms.
Yeah, I mean, so let me read. So, Mr. Bunny, the first question, let me just read this out here. It says, the community agrees to comply with terms and conditions in 28 CFR Point 66 or 28 CFR Point 70 as applicable to CFR Part 2225 OMB-817, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's boilerplate federal grant type stuff.
And that's wonderful. And you're saying because it's boilerplate, we should know, we don't need to know what the
No,
heck
I'm
it
saying
is.
you're putting our manager on the spot here with this
No,
thing, right? This has been agreed to a long time ago through the DCC, not only with us but with all the communities around here.
No. This is an agreement that we're signing on freshly on 3/6/13. We agreed to this. That's what this is. I mean, this, I don't care how, this might be the same one that we've signed every year for, 20 years, but we're talking about this contract. We're not talking about the last 19. All I'm pointing out is we're signing things that we don't know what we're signing, and that's not a good way to do things. That's all. That's my only point is that we're signing things that we don't know what's in it, and we should know. Even though we're our backs against the wall. We're gonna, if we want the money, we're gonna have to.
I'm sorry for interrupting, Mr. Budney, but
Sure.
I've been working with the last term with the Downriver Mutual Aid, Downriver Community Conference. They vet this program. Now, when you ask your attorney to review something and you take his advice and go to work with it, I take the advice and the research that's done by the Downriver Community Conference when they, through all the 22 communities, vet this program. I trust the Downriver Community Conference. I suppose I could open up Part 28 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Chapter 28 of the Code
It's
of Federal Regulations.
Title 28.
Title 28.
Title 28.
I used to have to know that. But
part
anyway,
whatever.
yeah, we could sit and read all that and come back to the same place. But the DCC and DMA have been doing this for years. It's just as trusting your attorney with his legal advice. I trust their legal advice. Yeah, we probably should take a couple hours and read it one of these times. But again, I'm trusting the Downriver Mutual Aid, the Downriver Community Conference, who are the experts on this, who went through the studies to go to what radios we wanted to replace the existing ones, who is giving us the best network, who is giving us the best radios for the dollars spent. I sat there through the deliberations. I sat there through the cost comparisons. This is what the DCC agreed to with DMA's Downriver Mutual Aid's recommendation. These are the radios we want to buy. We'll comply with the terms of it. The whole Downriver area will be complying with these terms. Every community in the state of Michigan is going to comply with these terms if they're going to have 800 megahertz the new bandwidth radios.
Absolutely.
So
my whole point
I have
was
professionals on the DCC who do this.
the problem is that's who you're making the contract with is the DCC. Do you go, when you purchase a home or a car, do you say, hey, I'm not going to read this, I'll let you, because I trust, Joe's Auto Shop. He's making me to sign the contract. I don't care. I'm not going to read it. I trust, you just don't sign a contract without reading. That's all I'm saying. That's the only point I was trying to make is we should know what we're signing. That's all. And I understand what you're saying too, and I certainly don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to make the point that we should know what we're signing.
I think I will duly noted.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion among the board on the expenditure of $864, which was our share, right? Was that
$864 will be from
coming
my
out of your
equipment budget,
fund?
yes.
Any other discussion among the board on this purchase? All right, none offered. Those in favor of approving the purchase for the four prep radios, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered.
Thank you.
Stands approved. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, this will move me on. Okay, bear with me we are working with our new tablets. We're getting better at it. Some of us.
Yes, we are.
And some of us still have paper. I, however, am moving on with the technology program. Okay, the motion is to approve the 2014 budget as proposed by the 33rd District Court.
Support.
And seconded by Treasurer Enos. Thank you. Okay, the background, 33rd District Court costs are assigned to what they call district control units. Those are the communities. There are 7 of us. Based on their share of the court's caseload. Historically, Grosse Ile Township has averaged about 5% of the total, and at $99,952, Grosse Ile Township share of the court's proposed 2014 budget is $10,895 less than last year. The budget's been reduced due to reduced caseloads, and again, we're at about 5% of the court's total proposed budget. Any questions, discussion among the board? You're about to bust at the seams, Mr. Budney.
No,
Go ahead.
I hate to say anything. Quick question: do we, after looking this over and everything, do we really have any say in this at all? I mean, if we happened to vote this down, what would it be?
I think we would be hearing from the
court,
governor or the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Was the
You've
overseer of it.
answered my
So it's just
question.
formality.
Yes.
It's basically yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It's more than a formality, right? It's an oversight, right? I mean, if we see gross issues here, or if we see problems, and we have every right to push back and say, no, we don't approve this for these following reasons, right? So it's an oversight. It's more than a formality.
Except we don't have any information. I mean, we have, what if we say, well, wait a minute, the salaries and employee benefits are too high. I mean, we can't even say that because we don't have the information. So, and if we did, I think that's where we go. We get the call from the governor, so it's a formality.
Now there was
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
again, as Mr. Ranka pointed out, there was a pushback. I want to say 2 years ago to possibly 3 years ago to eliminate one justice position within the court. That was discussed among the members. What we didn't know was the methodology of reducing it. But that may yet come to pass. If the caseload continues to decline, we may not be willing to pay for 3 justices. And then, again, I think it's managed at the Supreme Court how they would downsize the court, or possibly merging with another district that doesn't have the caseload to support the number of justices they have. So, again, if the caseloads continue to decrease and the cost will stay somewhat the same, or the revenues will decrease because of the decreased caseload, we will look at options to keep our costs where they need to be. But for now,
I just want to make a comment. I'm sure, Mr. Budney, that if you wanted to go to 33rd District Court and take a look at their budgeting process, it would be open to your purview, but I'm not sure that the input that we could give on this would be one based on knowledge, because they're the ones that deal with it.
Well, and that's, I guess, the point being why, other than the formality that we have to vote on it, it doesn't do anything.
Well, we have to vote on it because we're spending taxpayer money to do this. So it does come back to us. But without a specific issue with the budget, I'm not sure that we can speak on it.
And mine was just a general question. If we saw something like, and I just pick out like, wait a minute, those benefits look high. I don't want to do this. I don't want, it looks too high. I mean, what would we do?
If this board decided that there's something amiss with the budget, I'd take it back to the court and point out if the rest, again, we're 1 vote out of 7. I don't know if they don't weigh the votes by population, but we're 1 vote out of the 7. But if I called that issue and the other members of the Court Management Council agreed, we'd kick that budget back to the administrator, Mrs. Krazan, and we would continue to operate under the 2013 budget, which is higher, so it's not in our best interest. But we would amend the budget and put Peg back to work and square it away.
I apologize for taking up the time, but I'm just trying to understand things, or how we work around here.
When you look at that budget on the paper, all the numbers are in black, but on our tablets, the variances are either black in the positive or red if they're reduced. So we can see it's much easier to see where the changes are made if you look at it in the color version on the tablet.
Oh, I had no problem seeing the changes. It was just a question in general.
That's just for general. If somebody's looking at a paper copy, you're not getting the advantage of the, even with my failing eyesight, I can see. Okay, other discussion among the board on the Court Management Council budget for 33rd District Court. All right, none offered. Those in favor of approving the budget as presented for the 33rd District, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. Thank you. That motion will carry. Mr. Posiask.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This action item, I prefer to just read it. It's a proposed motion. Whereas the township has been blessed with the generosity of a gift of $4,000 from the Island Roadrunners Running Club for a new water fountain to be located on the southern part of the bike path near Grove and Meridian Roads. And whereas the installation costs of such a fountain will likely exceed the cost of said donation, and whereas the time to raise funds to cover the shortfall is not available, but whereas money could be raised through public fundraisers in the coming months, therefore the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission recommends the Township Board make available bike path maintenance funds to be used for installing said fountain, so long as funds are paid back by December 31st, 2014, with nominal interest.
Support.
Okay, moved, and the resolution read by Trustee Posiask and supported by Trustee Smith.
Thank you. This has been a long summer for a bicycle water fountain, but I think we finally came to the point where we want to be. I take a lot of pride in this commission because they're a bunch of bulldogs when it comes to getting their jobs done. And they really worked hard to seek and obtain this $4,000 gift, which has a December 1st deadline from Island Roadrunners. So, we've asked for it, and we shall receive from them a $4,000 gift. Now, depending upon which fountain we buy, that fountain could cost either more or less than $4,000. And there is an estimated $3,500 installation fee to install this fountain. And you have to tap the line, you have to put in a meter, you have to put in a pit, and you have to have some sort of a foundation to set the whole thing up. It'd be a very, very nice fountain if we could have something better than just plain concrete. And so the group has come together and talked about the idea of selling memorial bricks. Now, if you've ever seen memorial bricks, Monroe County Community College at their Lazy Boy Center has a whole front of their building done with memorial bricks. And they're really, really classic. They give people an opportunity to put their name down there for 30, 40, or 50 years as a donor to this path or to this fountain. I'll buy the first brick when the fountain comes. But he's going to make sure that the fund covers the entire installation and purchase of the fountain without a red cent of township dollars being invested. We may, depending on the speed of the selection of which brick provider will use and how fast they can sell bricks, we may come to the point where we won't have to borrow any funds. But if we come to a shortfall at the time when it's time to put in the fountain, $4,000 is a loan, and it will be repaid. It may be $2,000 or $1,500 or $175, I don't know. Depends on how many bricks we can peddle, how fast. So look to us selling fountain bricks at Island Fest and on street corners, and handing out pamphlets and doing a great deal of talking. And this bike path committee will do that. So I think we're going to have a nice addition to the bike path. It will be a pet-friendly fountain, the only pet-friendly fountain we have. And that not only can you get a drink, there will be a bowl at the bottom for your pet to get a drink. And that's important to people. So I would ask for your support of this proposed motion. And thank you for listening.
Okay, questions from the board? Treasurer.
Has the location of this drinking fountain been brought before the DPS Commission for a water source?
We've talked to Barry early in midsummer about the location. Roadrunners had asked to put it down closer to Meridian School, and it turned out to be not a good location for whatever reason, and it was recommended that we have a good water source somewhere in that vicinity of Grove Road in Meridian. I'm not quite sure exactly where it is, but the water source is supposed to be a good, assured water source.
Are we? So you're pretty sure it's on the same side of the street?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I happen to be part of the discussions, not with Wally, but in those, and that That is true. Barry had indicated that would be a better location at Grow and Meridian.
Bill runners are in acceptance of that too. They'll put a memorial plaque on it, they'll need to buy other mill runners also. So they'll have a plaque, and the idea is to have a lot of bricks out there celebrating this new.
What do you intend to, I saw the price list for buying the bricks. What do we intend to charge donations for the memorial bricks? Or are you still debating?
Selling them for $50 a brick, that was our conversation, and that's the next course of business for the group to decide on selling and pick one of the two sources for bricks. I'm surprised how easy you can buy memorial bricks. But I'm also pointing out that in order to put them in, you have two methods of installation. One, you can lay them on sand, and that tends to get a little bit leaky after years, but if you lay them down on a concrete base, you can actually change them out if you wish to. So,
I guess I have just one more option, or one more question. I'm not sure I agree with the way this thing is written, because it said, just so long as the funds are paid back by December 31st, 2014, versus what?
Oh, yeah, or what if they're not, I guess is it.
Yeah, I mean...
Take the fountain out?
Yeah.
I'm not...
The bricks?
Take the 25 cents in the handle, and then pull the handle. I wasn't really concerned about that, but I guess it is.
Well, it's in the motion, so I'm just wondering if we wouldn't be better off just saying, go with the fountain, go with the funding, and what we get back, because I don't know that there's an option for the way it's worded.
I can appreciate that, and this was a matter of some discussion amongst the group, and it was needed since we had to give a deadline of this township board will not be interested. We'll have to pay it back no matter when we pay it back.
Well, why don't we do this, right? Why don't we keep it in there, because you already have a funding source with it, which is the maintenance fund. You cannot fund construction from that fund. You can fund the loan, no problem. So why, rather than, if the bike commission is unable to pay it back by December 31st, 2012, then we commit the general fund to pay for it.
Well, I think if we took that last sentence, so long as funds are paid back, right out of the motion.
Our microphone's all just died.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Right out of the motion, then we wouldn't have to bring it back. We wouldn't have to bring it back in front of this board to forgive them of a debt that they didn't pay. I just don't. I think we're just opening it up to one more action by the board. I don't have a problem with the funding, and I don't have a problem with the drinking fountain. I just do have a problem with paying it back. If maybe they'll pay it back. I'm not sure.
I'm sure it was a loan, not a gift from Big Daddy. We were adamant about a deadline for it, but I don't have a problem with making that as a friendly amendment either. Scratch out the last sentence.
I would think that would be wise. Otherwise, it's going to have to come back to us to adjust the budget.
So where are you scratching out?
Just so long as the funds are paid back, just take that right out of there. Just put the funds forward. They're going to pay it back when they can pay it back.
Well, how many, what would be the approximate size of the base, and how many bricks are you looking at selling? Do you have an idea?
We looked at about 120 bricks to make sure that the fund would be reimbursed if we bought a $4,000 fountain and had a $4,000 installation charge. But as far as how many bricks, not really concerned about that right now. When we start selling bricks, we'll know how big the pad will be by how many bricks we're sold by the time.
You're not going to limit the sale of bricks. You're not going to encourage. We need so many.
I see this as a wonderful way for Roseville residents to memorialize things that are important to them in Roseville. You could see these memorial bricks going up to the stairway down to the new waterfront park, just as a support mechanism for funding small things there. You could see it put down here around bicycle racks, or around some of the park benches that go up and down our bike paths. We need places to set them down, and if people would be interested in getting their name next to the bike path, 12 by 12 or 6 6x6 brick? Why not? I don't want to limit it to just this.
I wouldn't want you to either. And when you say benches, is a bench part of the project? Bench or benches part of the project? Or could it be part of the project?
Could be. Always could be. Depends on who wants to donate a bench. If they say, put a bench next to the fountain and put my grandfather's name on it, we shall do so. And hopefully sell enough bricks to get the nice, steady, hard base for it.
Sounds great.
You ride your bike, you can stop, water your pet, wash your bike wheels. It should be a fun summer.
Good. And coming with good.
Well put, Mr. Malvesto. Put me in for a brick also. Pressure's on.
Oh, I'll go for one. I'll go for one. And in fact, Wally, I want you to know we have a tenant or a prospective tenant over at the airport who will make a contribution towards that for you.
100 bricks?
Not bricks, cash.
That's nice. Talk to you later.
Other questions for Mr. Posiask? Mrs. Smith, did you?
Yeah, Wally, do you know what you're going to be, are you going to have different levels of support? So maybe a smaller brick for 25, a medium size for 50, 100, things like that? Because I'm just thinking Christmas gifts.
That decision quite yet. That's up to the bike path. They're not a breath from what they've done this year.
Right, yeah. I'm just thinking it might be
a December meeting, so
if you could get it out there,
yeah, it would be
Christmas
nice.
gifts.
I'm not sure that that's going to be possible.
Well, we'll take a wait and see apparently on that. Sorry about you're going to have to do some Christmas shopping after all. Or they'll learn to like what size brick they get.
I'm selling pieces of coal in case anyone's interested.
Other questions for Mr. Posiask? All right, with none offered, those in favor of approving the the purchase of the there's a shortcoming of the drinking. I don't have it in front of me, and I've got to press a couple of buttons, and it doesn't always work. So we're almost there, folks. Honest. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. See, he's kind of real small. Those in favor of purchasing or allowing the installation of the drinking fountain on the bike along the bike path with the intended sale of bricks to defray the cost of installation, as discussed by Mr. Posiask, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered. Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
With that, again, it's still a learning curve here. We'll move on to the clerk's report. That concludes our action items.
All right, so from the clerk's report, this is the first meeting that we're going live with the tablets, so without the, most of us, without the paper packets. Had a couple false starts with some of the technology and the size of the files, but thanks to Sharon Gray and Brian, we got through that. From a clerk's report standpoint, the election summary, just go through, there are on October 7th, which was the deadline to register for this election to vote, there were 8,813 registered voters on the island. As a reference point, the 2010 census population is 10,371. The total number of ballots cast on Grosse Ile for the November 5th election was 2,036, with a voter turnout percentage of 23.10%. For the three the millages that we went through, all of them passed. The first one was to maintain recreation. That passed with a 59% to 41% margin. Proposal number 2, to renew police operations millage. That passed 72% to 28%. Proposal 3, the renewal of library services. That passed 64% to 36%. And then the drainage or the renewal of the storm management projects, that passed 72% to 28%. So all in all, election went very well, and grateful to the professionals in the clerk's office Sharon and Gail and Brian, and also to all of the election workers that are the boots on the ground, so to speak, at all the polls. That's it for the clerks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The investment report for the month of October shows $10,948,815 invested in various accounts. These accounts generated a total of $905 interest with an average of 0.13%. Details on these amounts can be found in tonight's board packet and at the treasurer's link at growseal.com, which will give you a full listing of all of our investments. Work is just about complete on the 2013 winter tax bills. The projected mailing date is December 1st. You should see them right about that time. Due to the date of these the due date of these water bills will be February 14th, 2014. Those who qualify may apply for deferment of the February 14th due date. This deferment will extend the due date of February 14th to April 30th, 2014. Please contact the Treasurer's Office, that would be Annette, or myself, for inquiries or to receive the deferment form which shows the qualifications that will be required for a deferment. They will also be on the Treasurer's website at growseal.com. Pet tags for 2014 are now available. Please bring in your valid rabies license, vaccination certificate to obtain your 2014 pet tags. The Commerce Park meeting is the third Monday of December. We will be having one as it stands right now. And I have nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We'll move on to trustee reports. Mr. Posiak.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I see my fellow Mr. Williams in the audience, so we will not talk about the woodcutting event. I'll leave that at the end. The other event I'd like to report on, and I just talked about it with one of the other trustees a little while ago. Have any of you watched the Pure Michigan website? The publicity that's on Pure Michigan? Well, we can get on Pure Michigan as an event. So again, we have Noel Night, Island Glow, on the Pure Michigan website. It's a promotion to invite people down for Island Glow. Well, have a good evening, dine at our restaurants, spend an old-fashioned Christmas season evening with us. The price is right. We can do things like Island Fest and other important events that goes in and invite a lot of people. So if you get a chance to go to the Pure Michigan website, it's just another shot, but better than nothing. So I have, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. Posiak. Mr. Budney.
I don't have a whole lot. There's a ZBA appeals meeting tomorrow, and other than that, I just want to wish all of Grosseal a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. Mr. Modesto.
I don't have a lot either. We did have our last fire commission meeting for the year, and the boys have been very busy with multiple calls, back-to-back, not even back-to-back, it's back-to-back-to-back calls. They've really been running hard, and the Christmas season is just coming up. They expect a lot more than what they've been doing. We have a rec commission meeting coming up here. I believe it's the 5th. I'm sure Mr. Loftus will refer to the Island Globe. Island will be coming up. But I would like to make a special thanks to the police department. I lost a dog a couple weeks ago. It was a bit scary. She ran away. But between Julie Cordes, our animal control officer, the dispatchers, the police officers themselves, they were all very happy, or very helpful, and I'm happy to report that we did recover our dog, which made my wife very happy. But a special thanks to the police department. They really went above and beyond to help me get my dog back. And I was getting reports almost hourly through dispatch and Julie. So thanks to the police department. Chief, and I'm sure you'll pass that around for us. Other than that, I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it with your families. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Modesto. Top that, Mrs. Smith.
I'm deaf. Okay. Thanks. Back on November 7th, Supervisor Loftus and myself attended the Downriver Regional Branding Workshop. It was an event that was put on by a number of Downriver organizations, as well as some of the external organizations like MSU's Regional Land Policy Institute, MEDC, and the Governor's Office of Strategic.
Wow.
Goodness. Okay. Technical difficulties. But it was on placemaking, and placemaking is basically the process of collectively shaping the public realm to maximize shared values. It's rooted in community-based participation, where it involves planning, design, management, and programming of public spaces. I felt we got a lot out of that particular meeting, and I know that Brian's working with the DDA as far as mentioning some of the things that are going on in the region and how that might be able to flow down to us. Wanted to give everybody an update on our website progress. I was informed by Chairwoman Kathy Walker the other day that a preliminary design will be ready for the Communications Commission to review sometime next week. So this is exciting. She's hoping to call a special meeting for us to all get together and take a look at it, and at that point something would be forthcoming to us. I just wanted to also remind people that they can watch past meetings online through Granicus, which is a great system that we have. Our next Communications Commission meeting will be on Wednesday, January 8th at 7 p.m. We still have 2 vacant seats, so anybody with any sort of communications or technological experience would be much appreciated, and they should submit an application at the Township Hall. Our next Festival Commission meeting is going to take place on Wednesday.
Unto which of the angels said he at any time, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee.
Hi, I'm Chief Porcerelli of the Grosse Ile Police Department.
I'm Deputy Chief John Straponiak.
Hello, I'm Fire Chief Duncan Murdoch.
And I'm your Fire Marshal, Russell Beaudry.
Remember, when getting together this holiday season with family and friends, please drink responsibly. It's for everyone's safety.
Remember to have a designated driver and don't drink and drive.
When putting up Christmas tree lights, make sure that you don't overload your circuits.
And be extra careful with holiday candles, and remember to extinguish them when you leave.
On behalf of the entire public safety team,
we would like to wish you and your family
a safe and happy holiday. Animal control is the responsibility of the Grosse Ile Police Department. The department employs one full-time animal control officer. This individual is responsible for both domestic and wild animals on the island. The governing regulations are contained in our ordinance program. It is the responsibility of the ACO to enforce this program to ensure the health and safety of the community. Hello, we are here in the lobby of the Grosse Ile Animal Shelter with Julie Cordes, our animal control officer. Julie's been with us for approximately 3 years, and she has been the third ACO since 1962 in our police department. Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit about the day-to-day responsibilities that you have here at the animal shelter?
Well, every day pretty much starts here at the shelter. I like to get here as early as possible. We have dogs waiting to be let out, fresh water and food, medicine if necessary. And then I check the cat room, and we usually give the cats some out time and exercise in the main cat room. We also have a quarantine area, and medicine daily for the animals in the quarantine area until they're ready to be moved out into the main cat room. Some days I'll have to take animals to Island Animal Clinic for scheduled surgeries or maintenance of one kind or another, shots and vaccinations. And we do some vaccinations and testing here as well. On average, we'll have anywhere from 15 to 20 cats, kittens as well. And we have 6 dog kennels. Typically, we'll have 2 to 3 dogs at a time, and it's a continual revolving door. It changes daily, and we've been as full as 6 dogs, which is as many as we can house. And we've had as many as 30 cats in here, which is chaotic and difficult to manage, but we're blessed with a wonderful staff of volunteers that make it work. TAILS is the nonprofit that stewards the shelter, and they bring in the volunteers.
Hi, I'm Chief Porcerelli of the Grosse Ile Police Department.
I'm Deputy Chief John Straponiak.
Hello, I'm Fire Chief Duncan Murdoch.
And I'm your Fire Marshal, Russell Beaudry.
Remember, when getting together this holiday season with family and friends, please drink responsibly. It's for everyone's safety.
Remember to have a designated driver and don't drink and drive.
When putting up Christmas tree lights, make sure that you don't overload your circuits.
And be extra careful with holiday candles, and remember to extinguish them when you leave.
On behalf of the entire public safety team,
we would like to wish you and your family
a safe and happy holiday.
Thank you.